Warden Kethvar had overseen the Crucible for over 3 decades, watching countless species crumble under the weight of their own fear. The arena was more than a prison, it was a statement, a demonstration of hegemony superiority that broke the spirit of any who dared challenge their rule. Every species had their breaking point. The proud Zalathi warriors lasted perhaps a week before their honor cracked like glass. The cunning Sivrak merchants barely made it 3 days before offering their entire trade networks for clemency. Even the stoic Corvin, with their stone-like hides and century-long lifespans, eventually prostrated themselves before the arena's horrors. But this human, this strange pink-skinned creature from a backwater world called Earth, was different. Marcus Chen stood in the center of the blood-stained sand, his prison uniform torn and stained, yet his posture remained defiant. Around him lay the dismembered remains of a Vrex hunting beast, its acidic blood still hissing against the arena floor. The crowd of hegemony citizens in the stands had fallen silent, their usual jeers replaced by confused murmurs. "Well?" Marcus called out, his voice echoing in the sudden quiet. "Is that it? Send down the next one." Kethavar's 4 eyes narrowed as he leaned forward in his observation booth. In 30 years, no prisoner had ever demanded more after surviving the Vrex. Most begged for death by that point. The creature's psychic screams alone were enough to drive most sentients insane. "Fascinating," whispered Dr. Yilan, the hegemony's chief xenobiologist, as she studied her readings. "His stress hormones are elevated, but his neural patterns show no signs of psychological breakdown. If anything, he appears excited." The human was indeed grinning, wiping Vrex blood from a makeshift weapon he'd fashioned from the beast's own claws. During the fight, he'd done something no other prisoner had ever attempted. He'd improvised. While other species either cowered or fought with predictable tactics, the human had analyzed the creature's attack patterns mid-combat, adapting his strategy in real time. Kethvar activated the arena's communication system. "Human," his voice boomed across the space. "You have survived longer than most. Confess your crimes against the hegemony, beg for mercy, and your death will be swift." Marcus looked up at the booth, still grinning. "Crimes? You mean defending my home when your ship showed up? That's not a crime. That's Tuesday where I come from." He gestured at the dead Vrex. "And I'm not begging for anything. I want another round." The crowd erupted in shocked gasps. Several hegemony officials turned to Kethvar with expressions of disbelief. This wasn't how the Crucible worked. This wasn't how any of this was supposed to work. "Another round?" Kethavar's translator struggled with the concept, as if the words themselves were alien. "Yeah, another round. That thing was just getting interesting. What else you got?" Marcus kicked the Vrex's severed head, sending it rolling across the sand. "Come on, don't tell me the mighty hegemony runs out of monsters after just one." Dr. Yilan's readings spiked. "Warden, this is unprecedented. His dopamine levels are through the roof. He's actually enjoying this." Kethvar had seen fear take many forms: desperate violence, catatonic withdrawal, bargaining, denial. But this was something entirely new. The human wasn't just unbroken. He was thriving. "Very well," Kethvar said finally. "Release the Shadow Maw." If the Vrex was designed to break a prisoner's body, the Shadow Maw was meant to shatter their mind. The creature existed partially in normal space and partially in the psychic realm, feeding on terror and despair. It had never failed to reduce a prisoner to a gibbering wreck within minutes. As the gates opened and darkness began to seep into the arena like liquid night, Marcus's grin only widened. He picked up a shard of the Vrex's carapace, testing its edge against his thumb. "Now we're talking," he muttered. The Shadow Maw materialized gradually, its form shifting between solid matter and living nightmare. Most prisoners would be paralyzed by now, their minds overwhelmed by the creature's psychic assault. But Marcus was already moving, not away from the beast, but in a wide circle around it, studying its movements. "Interesting," he called out as tendrils of pure fear lashed out at him. "Psychic predator, right? Feeds on negative emotions." He dodged another attack, his movements becoming more fluid with each passing second. "Thing is, I'm not afraid. You know what I am? I'm angry." The human's battle cry echoed through the arena as he launched himself at the Shadow Maw, not with the desperate fury of a cornered animal, but with the calculated aggression of an apex predator who had found worthy prey. For the first time in 3 decades, Warden Kethvar began to understand why the hegemony had struggled so much with this particular world. It wasn't that humans were the strongest or the fastest or the smartest species they'd encountered. It was that they were the only species that treated war as entertainment. As the battle raged below, Marcus Chen fought not for survival, but for the pure joy of the challenge itself. And in that moment, the warden realized that the Crucible hadn't captured a prisoner at all. It had trapped a predator, and it was hungry for more.